Alright, let me tell you something that, to this day, still feels like it was written for a horror novel. Except it happened to me, in my own damn backyard. So picture this. I'm standing on my own property, 600 acres of untouched land tucked deep in the Colorado Rockies. Wearing flannel, boots caked in mud, holding a bag of dog food for my lab, Buck. Peaceful morning. Birds chirping, you know the deal. Then, bam, cop cars roll up, sirens blaring. And behind them, stepping out of her black Range Rover like she's queen of the HOA universe, comes Karen. Designer sunglasses, clipboard in hand, smug as hell. The officer walks up to me, hand raised. Ma'am, step back. You're trespassing. I almost laughed. I said, you talking to me? Karen folded her arms, gave this little victorious nod. I told you. This squatter's illegally occupying HOA property. She pointed at my cabin. My cabin, built by my hands. On land that I own outright, including the lake, the trees, the trails, the road she drove on to get there. She had no clue. Now, normally, I'm the kind of guy who avoids drama. I like my solitude. My fishing, my books, and being left the hell alone. But this was too far. Karen had been crossing the line for weeks. But calling the cops? That was the final straw. I calmly reached into my backpack and pulled out the original deed, waterproofed, notarized, land survey and all. Handed it to the officer and said, you might want to check who's paying the lease for your precinct's search and rescue training site, too. Spoiler alert, it's me. He read it. His eyes widened. Karen's confidence cracked right down the middle. And before anyone could say another word, but came bounding out of the trees, tail wagging, something odd in his mouth. When he dropped it at my feet, the officer took one look and his hand went to his gun. Sir, is that a human skull? Let me back up. My name's Michael, retired Army engineer. Spent 30 years serving, saving, dreaming of someday owning a slice of heaven. And I got it. 600 acres of pure wilderness. Restored a crystal clear lake. Built a cabin from reclaimed timber and old mining stone. No noise, no neighbors, except for a few vacation homes 3 miles out that popped up when some fancy development, Summit Ridge Estates. Moved in. I didn't think much of them at first. City folks trying to play mountain man for a weekend. Airbnbs with hot tubs. The usual. But what I didn't expect was the HOA. They started sending letters, fines for non-compliance, claims that my mailbox didn't match the community aesthetic, whatever that means. Thing is, I never signed anything. Wasn't part of their HOA. Wasn't even on their map. But Karen had other plans. First time she came by, she had the audacity to say, this structure wasn't approved. Do you have your permit and association documents? I said, ma'am, this land's been mine for 5 years. You're on my property now. HOA's got no jurisdiction here. She narrowed her eyes. That's not what our maps say. Well, your maps are wrong. From there, it escalated. Fast. They dumped gravel across my access road. Replaced my mailbox with a shiny HOA-approved one that didn't even lock. Filed bogus complaints about me, harassing hikers. She even showed up once in heels, sniffed the air like the forest offended her, and said, this is a security risk to our community. You're 6 miles away, I told her. Proximity defines interest, she said. I just laughed. This ain't Congress, lady. And then one morning, she showed up with the cops. And that's how we got to Buck dropping a skull at my feet. They roped off the area. Called forensics. One officer pulled me aside and asked if I knew of any burials on my property. I said no. Just old mining junk from the 1800s. Whiskey bottles, horseshoes, nothing human. But now things felt different. Personal. I needed answers. So the next day I drove into town. Hit up the county clerk's office. Susan, the sweet old lady behind the desk, helped me dig through old paper files. That's when we found it. A 1912 land transfer said my property used to be part of Lonesome Creek Sanitarium, a psychiatric facility for TB patients and war veterans. Burned down in 1921. 5 patients never accounted for. One name circled, James L. Cartwright. Status, unconfirmed. I felt something cold crawl up my spine. That afternoon, I hiked back to where Buck had found the skull. I didn't dig, just looked. That's when I noticed the ground was sunken slightly near some rocks. Like something had been buried and the land forgot how to breathe. And just when I was piecing things together, Karen showed up again. She stormed past the police tape with her phone out, filming. This is Karen Brewster reporting. I'm exposing an illegal squatter covering up a murder. And the ground gave way beneath her. She fell waist-deep into a hidden hole, screaming. I ran over and pulled her up as the soil crumbled around her. There's something down there, she shrieked. Something touched me. Then, she looked over her shoulder and screamed again. There's a face. We both collapsed on the ground, breathing heavy. There's a body down there, she said. Still has skin. It blinked. I didn't sleep that night. Neither did she. The next morning, forensics showed up with archaeologists, cadaver dogs, and a historian. They lowered a camera into the hole, and what they found wasn't a grave. It was a tunnel. A whole underground network. One of the cadaver dogs broke free, tried to leap into the pit. The handlers struggled to hold it back. And then, one brave soul, Dr. Carnes, volunteered to go down. She'd done over 100 dig crawls. Said she'd take photos, samples, come right back. 15 minutes later, she radioed in. There are bones. Dozens. A table with restraints. Notebooks. Then static. I'm not alone down here, she whispered. Then, silence. The winch jammed. The rope went slack. Moments later, we heard a scream from the trees. Karen ran from the cabin. It's in the house, she cried. It left muddy footprints. We rushed inside, saw the marks. Scratches on the door. A single rotten boot on the porch. Inside it a bone. I was done pretending this was just about land rights. 3 days later, the feds arrived. Special unit. Agent Rowe. He showed me photos, blueprints, records. Said James L. Cartwright wasn't just a patient. He was a doctor and a monster. He ran experiments, deprivation, isolation, on war veterans and TB patients. Said he could rewire the human mind. But when the facility burned, they sealed him underground. Alive. That night, we went down. Karen, chained to a chair in the chamber. Eyes open, lips moving. Then, he stepped out. Cartwright. Still, alive. Pale, stretched skin, claws, glowing eyes. You didn't inherit this land, he said to me. It called you. He claimed I was his descendant. My grandfather, Ernest Hayes, was the one who buried him. Suddenly, the walls cracked. Figures poured out. The forgotten patients. Sewn mouths. Broken limbs. We fought our way through, Buck barking. Karen whispering something. There's more. Heart of the valley. Deeper down, we found it. An altar. A pulsing tree root growing from the ceiling. And on the altar, a book bound in human skin. Burn it, Karen said. I lit a flare, dropped it on the book. The root screamed. Cartwright cracked like glass. The chamber collapsed behind us. We barely made it out. Karen survived. But something changed in her. She moved away. Bought a house by a lake. We still talk. And me? I kept the cabin. It's peaceful again. Quiet. But some nights, when the wind rustles just right, I swear I still hear him, whispering my name from the roots below. Michael. Hey, if you made it this far, tell me, what would you have done in my shoes? Was burning that book enough? Or do you think something still waits down there? Let me know in the comments. And if you're from a small town with HOA nightmares, or something worse, share your story. We all got ghosts. Mine just happened to live under my porch.